The Canadian Auto Workers Union Unifor has come to a tentative agreement with General Motors just hours after going on strike.
The strike began at midnight with 4,200 workers at 3 GM facilities walking off a job. The union said there were disagreements over benefits for retirees, but by 1 p.m., both sides announced a deal had been reached.
That is good news. 7 Action News reporter Brett Cast gives us reaction from American UAW workers and tells us how there are different demands on both sides of the border.
Well, it's been about 3 weeks that workers have been out here on strike at this GM facility in Pontiac. And earlier today, it seemed that another union in Canada was going to be joining them. But this afternoon, that suddenly changed. A scene familiar here in Michigan playing out this morning in Ontario, where more than 4,000 auto workers at 3 Canadian GM facilities went on strike at midnight. But by 1 p.m., it was all over.
We were all standing around here watching Facebook, and it was posted on our UAW pages, and kind of shocked that it was that fast.
UAW members like Judith Rice were paying close attention to the Unifor strike. She's been holding down the picket line here in Pontiac for 3 weeks.
It's kind of like good for Canada, but man, no way.
Judith and her fellow members not satisfied with Canada's deal. While it reinstated COLA and improved pensions, it increased wages by about 20%, half the UAW's initial demands.
We would vote this down. Our membership would say hell no. And Sean Fain probably wouldn't even bring it to the group.
It appears that the Canadian workers are more amenable to a much lower wage increase than what the workers here in the U.S. are looking for.
David Zoya is an industry analyst and says Canada's union followed a more traditional pattern bargaining approach. GM agreeing to a similar deal the union made with Ford, a deal similar to ones the UAW has turned down.
Here, the UAW is clearly gaining for something north of 25%, maybe even as close as 30% once you add in COLA and compounding and all that.
With Canada's GM production back up and running, Zoya says additional UAW strikes could have a stronger impact, but workers on the picket line hoping that won't be necessary.
Hopefully you guys won't be out visiting us next week. Hopefully we'll be getting ready to vote on a contract.
Now that contract is a tentative agreement and still has to be voted on by the members of the Canadian Union. But as of 2 p.m. today, those 4,200 workers who were on strike were told to return to work. In Pontiac, I'm Brett Cast, 7 Action News.